So I'm just gonna get right into it. So I came across someone that I had already kind of dabbled on it and been working with the idea that our bodies are the lost technology. We've forgotten how to use our bodies, and that was really the technology. Because when I've looked deep within myself, everything tells me, the books, the when I keep looking inside and I break it down and I work with it and I really introspect it, like a bunch of different angles, and then it's like I kind of test it out too. It's like I'd be walking around in the world just kind of like testing these theories out by the different things I do and watching and observing what happens when it happens, it's like, and it's like, and how the body responds and reacts to things and or doesn't, and how it can also like instantaneously respond to something, like, and it's been instantaneously responding to things, like, but we just aren't always paying attention to it. So with the help of breath work, yoga, stretching, moving, walking, just moving the body to uncover its secrets, to like understand how it works with the world. And it's because that's what I'm paying attention to, is because it's like this body has everybody's body, because we're all connected to this field that we're created from. Is capable of wild things like healing the body instantaneously, running obscene amounts, you know, running miles upon miles upon miles. I mean, there's people that already just, and it's just kind of like showing you, like, watched a lady that did the rowing across the ocean, and she said, we can all do this. Like, we almost all have the capacity to do this. Like, and in some way or another, we've overcome crossing the ocean in our own journeys. So it's like, the body is capable of so much. Knowing everything you need to know about this current moment and growing on it and learning on it. It's like, it, like I said, we've forgotten about it. We've kind of moved away from trusting our bodies and knowing what they're actually capable of. Like, we already explore caves and climb mountains and stuff. Pretty much most has been explored. Except we only have a few extreme explorers, it's like people that, like, because we don't trust ourselves. we don't get to the point of being able to trust ourselves. So, it's time to open up this ancient technology that we have within our bodies and explore it. Learn about the body, learn your biology, all the interconnectedness of your cells and your muscles and the synapses and sinews, which I keep hearing people talk about that are on more advanced levels of it. And when I was reading in Xuanzang, I noticed that, so I came across Grandmaster Wolf, just gonna attach that there. In Xuanzang, Mark Cohen was typing out how in your muscles, your bones, connected to sinews and synapses, which are connected to the muscles. I'm not 100%. That just feels how I'm remembering it. And it goes bones, synapse, sinews, muscles, nerves, cells. I'm not. Yeah, so. And the bone is what you relax all of that, including the synapses and sinews connecting the muscles. And then the muscles relax. And like the way it was described from here and here, and they're both what I would consider. One considers themselves a grandmaster. The other, he didn't refer himself to anything. He just practicing. Like, he was practicing the martial art. And they both talked about synapses and sinews, which I'm sure I'll come across something that illuminates how these are connected. I've got a couple books on biology and chemistry and cellular works, just to kind of get a better understanding of this body that I'm here in. And I am going to help people discover this ancient wisdom, ancient everything that we have within us. And not just understand it. Because we gotta test it. We got to. And it's. And not test it, but what's happening is it feels like we're just remembering all this. Because at one point, these cells communicated with other cells. Because awareness is in everything. It's just I don't feel like everything interacts with it in the same way that we do. Which I guess maybe it is pretty similar because it's all like you. I honestly don't know. Like, genuinely don't know. It's a lot of this is just figuring it out. It's kind of fun. It's not even kinda. It's fucking fascinating. All the different levels of expression. And this body has its own way of doing it, which is cool and expressing itself, which super cool. So I guess what I'm doing it's man, it feels like the opposite of what you would be doing, but no, not like it's just so like you gotta relax into the body with your awareness, but just don't be aware of anything particular. Just kind of watch it all, observe it all happen. And by you not particularly paying attention to one thing, know you're able to observe all the different connections. Not always able to put names on where things are until the information gets drawn to me in a way like I pick up a book and read it, and it's information that it feels like myself has brought me. Some other being collaborated with this. One person wrote it through their experiences. But their cells are also within us, different parts of it, and they want to share and express. So they reach out, not just in the physical plane that we can see, which even then it is, because we just can't. Aren't able to perceive it yet. So we can't quite see how Edward O. Wilson, Letters to a Young Scientist, got his book into my hands, because this body is pulling things that is helping understand. And over time, others have collaborated and had similar. It's all here for us. If you look around you, you'll notice that the same thing has happened in your field. Like, you will say, how did this get here? And you can see other people may have not even been that interested in it. Over, like I said, time and space, this got shifted into a particular spot that I would walk by and discover. Because at the same time, their being, which is also another fragment, wants you to discover, wants you to discover yourself. Like, when I read certain books, I can tell some people are aware, some beings are aware that they're doing what they're doing. Because as I read lots of the things, you dabble deep down. And in my experience, anybody that's diving deep understands, at least, that we're made up of a bunch of cells. And when I read certain books, I noticed that some dabble along in their stories cells. Like, let's see. Alright. Edward O. Wilson, page 72. I took the opportunity to share with Crichton a thought experiment I had conducted that had been stimulated by his book and the movie Jurassic Park. That's awesome that I picked this part too, because that's my favorite movie for real. It's funny. See, like, I can't even tell you what, like, because I just was flipping through the pages to pick a good one that had some words along the lines of DNA and things, just to kind of like read from the book and kind of get it. So I mean, just basically one of my favorite movie is Jurassic Park. Like, I've watched it hundreds of times as I was growing up, and like as I've gotten older too, like, and I've pushed away from movies and things like that, but I still appreciate like the movies. Like, it's a creation as well. It's a beautiful expression of different whatever, uh, just different fragments of me, you, everybody, the universe. So, in this book, I picked the page that has to do with something that's like, I'm very fond of. This body is very fond of. Alright. So, coincidence? Not really. Like, you could say, yeah. I know I've noticed that my cells be moving around and doing things, like, and smaller cells that I'm not even aware about yet, they're already doing things in my favor. They're making things move towards me, away from me. I don't exactly understand entirely how it works. I just understand that it does seem to work in my favor when I'm humble with it and I'm not being greedy, or I'm just living here and appreciating what's here and how it's all doing its thing, and I can still kind of like bring my attention to different parts of it as I learn more about it. I had concocted that I had been stimulated by his book and the movie Jurassic Park. Huh. Okay. The latter released the same year as Rising Sun. In Jurassic Park, a billionaire hires a paleontologist and other experts to create dinosaurs for a park. He wants to set up this big science fiction. The project, of course, succeeds. The method devised was ingenious. First, acquire pieces of amber formed as fossilized tree resin at the time of dinosaurs. Some of the fragments will contain well-preserved remains of mosquitoes. That much works in principle. I've studied hundreds of real fossil ants in amber from the Cretaceous period near the end of the age of dinosaurs. The next step in the plot was to find mosquitoes that still hold remnants of blood sucked from the veins of dinosaurs. Extract the dinosaur DNA they contain and implant it in chicken eggs to grow dinosaurs. This is good science fiction. Each step verges on the far end of probability, even though it is almost. Notice that as a scientist, I say almost certainly possible. Let me reread that. It says, notice that as a scientist, I say almost. And just because it's, certainly impossible, because everything has the potential of being possible. I told Crichton of a somewhat similar experiment I had imagined that was really and truly possible. In the Harvard collection are large numbers of ants preserved in amber from the Dominican Republic, roughly 25 million years in age, younger than 100-million-year-old dinosaurs, but still old. I had analyzed this fossil collection thoroughly and described a number of species new to science. Among these, the most abundant was one I named Azteca alpha, a living species, Azteca muelleri, which appears to be a direct evolutionary descendant of otherwise close relative of Azteca alpha. Still lives in Central America. These ants use large quantities of pheromones, acrid-smelling terpenoids, which they release into their air to alarm nestmates whenever the colony is threatened by invaders. I told Crichton that I might be able to extract remnants of pheromone from the Azteca alpha remains, inject them into an Azteca muelleri nest, and get the alarm response. In other words, I could deliver a message from one ant colony to another across a span of 25 million years. This had Crichton's attention. He asked if I planned to do it. I said not yet. I didn't have time and still don't. In this particular dream, there is too much of the circus trick and too little of real science. Too little chance, that is, to discover something really new. So that's beautiful. Like, that's traveling, like transporting something that hasn't been. It's the same concept. Like, we're bringing this ancient technology within us straight to the surface, like, to be able to use it to benefit us. And it's honestly, it goes both ways. It's like, some things will kill people, some people will be able to handle it, It's like, and I'm just saying that's how it always works when good things come. Like, it's like some people's bodies won't want to adapt, others will. It's about going at your own pace, your own understanding of how energy is working, and because not everybody's understanding will be the same, and everybody has different, it's like you see people that seem to, like, one day they're just boom, and then the next day they're like, oh yeah, it's like they understood it. But it's like different. It's like and how well you work with that energy. So, because that's something too that I've noticed. Like, so you get energy too fast, and it ends up like short circuiting your brain and your whatever, and it goes haywire. It ends up sometimes figuring itself out. Or people just, I've noticed that people find a knowledge they like, any source of it, and they just run with it without like observing to see if it works when you apply it. Let me know down in the comments, please, if y'all are doing anything interesting. It doesn't matter what it is. Because it's fascinating to you, so could be something special. You know, one of your ideas may bounce off one of my ideas and just kind of two fragments go and click together to make a whole piece or a even bigger piece. On the back of his book, first and foremost, I urge you to stay on the path you've chosen and to travel on it as far as you can. The world needs you badly. Edward O. Wilson.